What's up, y'all? Today I'm gonna go over the beginner wakeboard tricks. These aren't all of the beginner wakeboard tricks, but it is a solid foundation to help you move forward into more intermediate or maybe even advanced wakeboard tricks. If you do want more detailed explanation on each individual trick, I do have a tutorial for almost every single wakeboard trick on the channel. And if it's not on there yet, it will be in the future. So make sure you guys go check it out. A super easy trick to start with would be a butter slide or a backside butter slide. It's pretty simple. Make sure your body is squatted nice and low. If you want the front of your body facing forward, make sure you pull that handle over to the front of your body. Stay squatted. Make sure you lift those toes up to make sure you don't catch a front edge. As for backside, you can pull that handle over towards the back side of your body. You can turn your shoulders facing the boat. Make sure you lift your heels. You're also squatted, and you'll cruise right along, buttering on top of the water. Be careful though, because if you let your toes or heels dig, depending on whichever one's facing forward, you could get slapped pretty hard and it will hurt pretty bad. When first trying this trick, if you do want to play it a little bit safer, you can stand in between both wakes and have your driver slow the boat down to around 16 miles per hour. So you're going nice and slow. Then you can try the butter slide, front side or back side in between the wakes. Just in case you catch an edge, it won't really hurt as bad. Another beginner trick that's really easy and fun, also really similar to the butter slide, would be doing either a lip slide or a board slide on top of the wake. When attempting this trick, start just outside the wake and take a nice slow approach towards the top of the wake. Once you're almost at the top of the wake, you can start pulling this handle over towards the front side of your body. Make sure you're nice and squatted and lift your toes up to make sure you don't catch a front edge. Once you're done with your lip slide, you can move that handle back on over to your front hip and just drop back down the wake and ride away. Same thing applies when facing backward towards the boat. Just this time, you're gonna pull that handle over towards the back side of your body. Make sure your board is nice and teed up on the wake. Be nice and squatted. Make sure your heels are lifted so you don't catch a back edge. Whenever you're done with the board slide, you can take that handle, pull it back over towards your hip, and just drop down the wake and ride away. Something that most people want to learn when learning how to wakeboard is getting some air. So a one-wake heel side jump and a one-wake toe side jump are your first steps. When doing these, you don't need to have the boat going super fast since you're not clearing all the way wake to wake. And at slower speeds, it's a safer option so you can get more comfortable and eventually go wake to wake later down the road. When jumping heel side one wake, just edge out slightly on your toes outside of the wakes. Once you're out there, make sure you pause a second before edging back in. Make sure your rope is tightened up and you're nice and comfortable. Gradually roll onto edge. Do a nice gentle edge in towards the wakes. Be nice and low at the bottom of the wake. And as you're getting closer and closer towards the top of the wake, make sure you edge all the way through the top of the wake and stand nice and tall off the very top of the wake to get maximum straight up pop. Now you're in the air, you can spot your landing, bend your knees on impact in between the wakes and ride away. Now for the toe side one wake jump, which is pretty much the same as the heel side, except exactly opposite. You're just gonna edge out on your heels slightly outside the wakes, get a nice little distance out there. Pause for a second, let the rope get all tight, make sure you're nice and comfortable. Make sure the handle is close to your front hip. On the toe side jumps, you're gonna need to be a little bit more controlled than the heel side because you can't get away with as many mistakes as you could on your heels. Make sure you gradually get over your toes and edge in nice and slow towards your toe side wake. Make sure you edge all the way up through the very top of the wake. You're gonna wanna be squatted at the bottom of the wake, and as you get closer and closer towards the top, you're gonna wanna fully extend to get that maximum straight up pop. As you're coming down from your jump, you can drop your rear hand just to be a little bit more comfortable, but just bend your knees on impact and ride away. On both the toe side and heel side one wake jump, if you want to feel like you're going a little bit higher, you can pull your knees up into the air after you're already in the air, and this will get you a little bit higher above the water. Next up, we have the Surface 360s, both front side and back side. The Surface frontside 360 is going to be very similar to the frontside butter slide that we talked about earlier off the start. You're going to pull that handle over in front of your body to get in that butter slide position, continue all the way over to 180, drop your new rear hand, and your old rear hand, you're going to continue pulling that handle over to your lower back. You're going to take your rear hand and reach all the way around your body, looking for that handle. Grab it. Now you're going to need to start lifting your heels to make sure you don't catch a back edge. You can finish spinning it around all the way till you're straight aligned with the boat again. You can just ride away. As for backside, it's going to be pretty much opposite, except you're going to need to grab the handle early before the 180 this time rather than after the first 180. So you're going to be in that backside butter slide position. Take your rear hand, reach around, grab that handle, let go with your front hand, and start unwinding that first 180 until you're riding switch. Once you're switch, you can continue pulling that handle back into your normal butter slide position. Your toes are up now, and make sure you pull that handle all the way back over into your front hand again, and now you're riding down the lake behind the boat. If you want to do these tricks safer as well, you can ride extremely slow directly behind the boat around 16 miles per hour, so that if you do catch an edge, you don't get absolutely hammered. So going nice and slow, you can practice it straight behind the boat, and then later down the road, you can learn it out in the flats. Now, instead of one wake jumps, we're going to do one wake 180s. The toe side one is actually easier than the heel side one this time. Just because the toe side one, you'll be landing on your heels, and the heel side one, you'll be landing on your toes. And I feel that landing on your heels is a much easier task. Same thing as before, you're gonna get just outside the wakes, edge back in towards the wakes, stand nice and tall off the peak of the wake. But this time, instead of just doing your jump, at the peak of your jump, you're gonna take that handle and move it over to your rear hip, pulling yourself in a front side 180-degree turn. You're gonna land, bending your knees on impact, riding away switch. As for heel side, it's gonna be the exact same thing, but opposite. Come in towards the wakes, nice and slow, stand nice and tall off the top of the wake, get that straight up pop, then pull that handle over to your rear hip. But this time, you're gonna wanna make sure you get your chest over your toes. You'll bend your knees on impact and ride away switch as well. I think once you have all this dialed, it's pretty much time to learn the wake to wake jump. Both heel side and toe side, of course, no one wants to be a heel side hero. So for the heel side wake to wake jump, it's gonna be pretty much exactly the same as your one wake jump, except we're gonna be going a bit faster, and you're gonna be edging a bit harder to travel a bit more distance. So you're gonna edge outside of the wake, about 3/4 away from the wake as you possibly can. You're gonna pause there for a second, wait for that rope to tighten up, be nice and comfortable, and then progressively get on to sort of a medium-ish edge, having a nice smooth edge in towards the wakes. Be nice and low at the bottom of the wake, and as you continue edging all the way through the very top of the wake, once you reach the top of the wake, you want to be at peak extension to get that maximum straight up, straight down pop. Now that you're in the air and you've hopefully carried enough momentum across the wakes, you should be coming down just on the other side of the wakes, landing perfectly in the transition. You're gonna wanna spot your landing, bend your knees on impact down the downside of the wake, and just ride away. Same thing, but opposite for toe side. You really want to make sure you carry that momentum through the wakes on this one, because it is much more difficult to get that leverage against the rope, because on your heels, you can just lean back holding on the handle nice and easy. As for toe side, you really have to have the correct body position and make sure that handle is over against your hip so you can properly edge all the way through the wake. Make sure you're about 3/4 away from the wakes as possible. Progressively get on a nice medium-ish edge in towards the wakes on your toes. Make sure you're nice and squatted towards the bottom of the wake, and as you're edging all the way through the very top of it, at the peak of it, you're going to want to be standing at your peak extension so you can get that maximum straight up, straight down pop, just like on your heels. If you've done everything properly, you should have enough momentum to carry you all the way across both wakes. Now you're in the air, you're just gonna wanna spot that landing in front of you. Make sure you get your chest over your toes this time, since it is toe side. Bend your knees on impact down the transition of that wake and ride away. Now we're going to combine those wake to wake jumps with your one wake 180s, and now we're going to take those one wake 180s and turn them in to wake 180s. It shouldn't be that crazy of a task if you have all those other tricks dialed. For the toe side wake to wake 180, you're going to do pretty much the same exact thing as you would on the toe side wake to wake 180, except at the very peak of your jump this time, you're going to take that handle and pull it on over to your rear hip, and now you can spot your landing as you're coming down the downside of the other wake. Bend your knees on impact and right away switch. And the heel side is going to be a little bit harder, but almost exactly the same. You're just going to take that handle at the very peak of your jump, pull it on over to your rear hip, but this time make sure you get your chest over your toes, bend your knees on impact on the downside of the wake, and edge away from the wakes, switch toe side. One beginner trick that's pretty fun to do is the Ollie. It's pretty simple. You're just gonna push down on your front foot, and as it starts to rebound back out of the water, you're gonna rip that foot up, and once your front foot is fully out of the water, then you're gonna pull up your rear foot until it's flattened off in the air. You're just gonna come down and bend your knees and ride away. One last beginner trick that's pretty nice to know how to do is grabbing your board. It's pretty self-explanatory, but there are a few things that you don't want to do. You don't want to actually bend your body over to actually grab your board. This could cause you to get out of control and sort of have bad body position in the air. So when grabbing your board, in this case, we're going to use the indie grab. At the peak of your jump, you're going to want to bring your board up towards you while reaching down in between your feet at the same time. You can just grab right there on your board, let go as you're getting closer towards landing. You can sort of extend those knees so you have something to bend on impact and just ride away. These are all my beginner trick suggestions for today. I'm sure there are many more, but learning all of these will give you a very solid foundation and will help you be a very controlled rider, and it'll be a lot easier to learn new tricks in the future if you do have all of these basics learned. If you guys like this video, make sure you give me a thumbs up, comment below what kind of videos you guys want to see in the future, and remember, I'll be uploading a video every second day forever, so make sure you guys subscribe. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.